just midnight and I'm half blinded because I just adjusted the lights on my tripod. But in any case, since Sallyface is here with us because we are gonna be talking about his video game, I welcome you to the first chapter of our new mini-series of the channel, analyzing the romances of Sallyface from the worst to the best. This top will include both the official couples of the game and the shippings made by fans. But the only requirement for me to include the couples is for them to have actually enough interaction in the game for me to be able to analyze how they work or would work in a relationship. And one of the parameters to analyze every couple will be a concept that I learned from Once Upon a Time, one of my favorite TV shows, that has to do with what do the characters value the most, love or power. Our first chapter of the series begins with the couples of the Addison Apartments that we get to know throughout the 5 chapters of the game. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because we are going to begin this countdown with the worst, the most toxic of the Addison Apartment couples. Honorable mention to Diane and Henry Fisher that although I do not doubt that they were a good couple and that there was love in the marriage because we can see Henry missing her, there was not any interaction between them that we can see in the game to be able to analyze them as a couple. We see Sal interacting with her as a child with his mother, we see flashbacks and what have you, but we do not see anything regarding Henry with Diane, so we can only speculate and therefore not analyze them. And on the other hand, I suppose honorable mention to David and Sarah as well, because I cannot really analyze them as a couple since Sarah is not a human being. He's not even a living being. He's a mannequin without extremities, nor arms, nor legs, but let alone that, the extremities are the least of the troubles. She's a thing. She's a lifeless object, so...
Cause you're stupid. You're stupid.
Sure, I guess David must love her in a way, but since she has no life to her to be able to analyze their interaction as a couple whatsoever, the honorable mention in this top is the best I can do for them. Mrs. and Mr. Packerton. I don't know the first names of those two characters and I searched them and I didn't find anything, just Mrs. and Mr. Packerton. But in any case, if we needed to think of the worst behaviors in a romantic relationship that we can see in this game, this one definitely takes the major prize. We see Mrs. Packerton abusing her husband in every possible way, keeping him captive and tied up or strapped up to a bed, while he is in a vegetative state, forcing him to live around used diapers that he's forced to use because he is in a coma, and that she uses to cover up her murders. So around all the people in the Addison Apartments that decided to enter the devourers of God, risking their families, their romantic relationships, and everything important in their lives, Mrs. Packerton is the worst of all regarding her relationship to her husband, because she did not only let the occultism do terrible things to her husband while he lived, but she also kept damaging him for God knows how many years after he was dead. Well, not dead technically in a coma, but the reason why Sal disconnects the machine when he finds him is precisely because the poor man has been tormented, trapped in a body that he can never escape, and that her wife is using to her benefits, not giving a crap how much harm she causes him. Even when he talks to Sal and Larry, he tells them that at one point where they got married, they were in love, but that little by little that relationship started getting corrupted. So since this woman knew no limits where it came to harming her husband, definitely Mrs. and Mr. Packerton take the gold trophy. Well, no, not gold because it's something negative, so I guess the shit trophy, no pun intended, but shit trophy that's very suitable for them given what she did to him, to the worst couple in the Addison Apartments. Luke and Stacy Holmes. To say that this marriage was toxic would be a major understatement, because it not only ended in the 2 tragic deaths of Megan, their daughter, and Stacy herself. But also, it was already a dysfunctional and violent marriage much before that even happened. Even assuming that once upon a time in the beginning of the relationship they were happy and they loved each other, or that they had a decent family with their kid, with Megan, this all changed when Luke decided to join the Devourers of God, not even stopping to think what joining an occultism cult would do to not only himself, but also his wife and his daughter. Not to mention that besides his activities with the cult, his wife and his daughter were afraid of him. We can even see how Stacy gives Megan a crucifix to protect her from whatever her father is dealing with in the cult, and how she later puts her life at stake trying to steal a book from the temple. Luke and Stacey Holmes are low on this stuff because it's not only that Luke didn't care about the needs of his wife or daughter while they were alive, but also that he allowed his fanatism and the way he involved himself with the cult to get him to brutally murder a 7-year-old girl and the woman that loved him. So to be quite honest, the only reason why they aren't the worst of this list is because Mrs. Packerton exists. Greg and Stacey Holmes. Among the couples in the Addison Apartments that got involved with the cult, in all fairness, this couple shows a lot of love among their members. However, the reason why they are among the toxic relationships in our countdown is that as much love as there was in that relationship, it started in a very reckless, not to say stupid way on both Stacy's and Greg's side, since they began to be lovers when she was still married to Luke and still living in his house with Megan with their 7-year-old daughter, and Luke being a violent man. Despite being love between them, both Greg and Stacy exposed themselves and each other to the rage of Luke whenever he discovered them.
That is exactly right. You can't cheat on me.
Since Stacy was still living in the same apartment with him and their 7-year-old daughter, and Greg was living in the same building. So even if the cult was actually the one that commanded Luke to kill his family, at the very least, this romance with Greg did not help matters any. Cassandra and Herman Sanderson. In all fairness, among the couples that involve themselves with the cult, in this one we can see plenty of love between their members. However, as much as we can see both that Cassandra loved Herman and that Herman loved Cassandra, his decision to join the Devourers of God knowing that they were an occultist cult was not only irresponsible for himself, but also for his wife. Because since he was involving with things that he did not fully understand, and therefore did not fully understand their possible implications either, even if he had no way of knowing that precisely Charlie the neighbor would get possessed by the red-eyed demon, and that then he would kill Sandra, it doesn't change the fact that he did take the risk of her getting hurt or even murdered by the cult. So although the game doesn't say much more about them as a couple for us to be able to analyze much further, since the bad decisions of Herman costed the life of his wife, they are one of our last couples on the countdown that are in the negative or toxic side. Maple and Chalk. These high school sweethearts start their relationship sharing their lunch at high school. We can even see Maple giving him her sandwich because she doesn't feel like it and she knows that he loves to eat. And it all culminates in them having a life together with their 1-year-old daughter, who we see them collaborating to take care of. So overall, in the everyday stuff, the ordinary couple relationship things, I don't really have a lot of bad things to say about them. They seem to care for each other, they seem to get along, they seem to collaborate in things regarding their kid, their home, and what have you. And they even seem to have a balance between spending time together, with their kid, with friends, and with family. However, and this is the reason why they are more in the neutral side of things, not super toxic couple, but not very nice couple either, is because of the stance they take towards Sal and his friends' fight against the cult and darkness.
Now listen up. There is absolutely no such thing.
Since Joe is afraid of the paranormal and Maple is not really interested in the topic, or at least she doesn't seem to be, despite having Sal, Todd, and the others close to them and knowing that they are discovering several things regarding this topic, they remain completely ignorant to what's going on in the Addison Apartments. Despite Chuck living there and Maple later on moving in as well, and later even having a 1-year-old kid that lives with them there and could potentially be in danger. I can even understand not wanting to actively get involved with fighting ghosts or interacting with them, but they let themselves get to the extent of not even knowing, not even informing themselves enough to know how to keep each other and their family safe. And yeah, you may say, but Midnight, what the hell does this have to do with them as a couple? This is their stance about something else. And yeah, I agree, this does not make them a toxic couple per se, and I don't think they are. I do think that they are not a very healthy one either, because their decision to be so ignorant to that extent to what is going on around them and that could potentially be fatal for them if they are not careful, may not say that they are mean to each other or that they are violent or bad boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife per se, but it does show a certain degree of immaturity in the sense of not being aware that being completely oblivious to what's going on around you, including danger, not only puts yourself in danger, but also your relationship, because either of the two could be potentially killed in any moment by forces that they are not even aware that are close to them, despite having Sal, Todd, Larry, and the others to tell them about them more than once. Ray and Janice Morrison. Similar to Chuck and Maple, about this marriage, we cannot really say anything negative when it comes to the marriage itself, the romance, the relationship, the everyday interaction, and what have you, because we can see that they are in love, that they treat each other well, with respect, and that they even enjoy spending time together, and even if they are polemic, having hobbies and projects in common. And they share such a strong bond that it doesn't last only through life, but also after death, sharing even the tombstone in the cemetery. However, as much love as there may be in this marriage, the Morrisons are not on the top of the positive relationship in this countdown because they allow their liking for marijuana to become a very toxic addiction that not only makes them the typical pothead that says very fried or stupid things like, oh, I fell asleep watching the TV and I don't even have one, but also makes them completely ignorant to what's going on in front of their faces in their own apartment.
What are we talking about?
And to how close their own son is getting to the cults, to the demons, and to all the dark forces that could potentially put him in danger. Lisa and Jim Johnson. This couple started after Jim's arrival to the Earth after losing his sister in space, and Lisa since the very beginning showed him kindness and empathy, setting the foundation for what would become a loving relationship that would culminate in a marriage where they would have Larry. They loved, understood, and cared for each other, and quoting Larry, they hardly ever fought. However, their love story got tragically interrupted by the Devourers of God, when Jim, trying to stop them from killing children massively, trying to get rid of the child of the abomination, got so involved with the cult that in order to protect his family, he had to abandon them. This couple of Lisa and Jim Johnson is the second to best of the good couples of the Addison Apartments because there is no doubt about the great love and healthy relationship they had with each other. But besides the fact that they were impaired to be together by stronger forces than them, Jim's decision to leave without saying a word, even if it was to protect his family, left both his wife and son heartbroken, feeling abandoned, and also destroyed the bond that he had with Lisa. Henry and Lisa Fisher. Starting off as neighbors, this couple is brought together by the friendship of their sons, Sal and Larry, that brings them closer and makes them get to know each other better. Henry and Lisa understand each other in very deep ways, like being both widowed and in consequence single parents. And as their relationship evolves, we can see that they do not only understand each other in their grievings, but they also bring out the best side of each other. At the beginning of the relationship, we can see that Henry, that's normally a workaholic or focused on work all the time, starts having sweet gestures with her, like bringing her flowers. And on Diane's side, we can see that she's caring and nurturing not only with Henry, but also with Sal, having him over for dinner with her and Larry constantly. And after their marriage, we can still see this effect they have of bringing the best of each other, both in the evolution of their sons Sal and Larry, and the evolution of themselves individually. Being a Henry that doesn't drink to stupefy himself anymore, and a Lisa that, despite I guess still working, now makes time to rest and relax with her husband. Unfortunately, same as the majority of the older adults in the Addison Apartments, Henry and Lisa were oblivious to what was going on with the darkness and the cult in the apartment, and therefore had their love story tragically interrupted by the deaths of both of them. But had this not happened, I'm sure this couple would have lasted through time, becoming stronger every day. And it's because of the purity of their love and their capacity to make each other overcome their pain and thrive that Lisa and Henry Fisher, without any doubt, among the best couples in the Addison Apartments, are the most extreme. If you like this video analyzing the Addison couples, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell so YouTube lets you know when I upload the next one. And if you have friends that like us, love Sally Face and romance in video games, don't forget to share them this video and leave me in the comments what was your favorite couple of the Addison Apartments of this first chapter of analyzing the romances in Sally Face from the worst to the best. And don't forget that Mrs. Midnight loves you and hopes to see you next time. See you soon!